back to the Diversity in Action podcast, where we amplify the voices and experiences of our diverse student populations. My name is Yelena Felican, and I have the privilege to serve as the Director for the Office of Student Diversity and Multicultural Affairs. Today, we're diving into a special episode in honor of Black History Month. We'll explore the importance of Black student unions, navigating college as a Black student, Black leadership in education, and so much more. We'll hear from student leaders about their experiences, challenges, and the power of community and resilience. Joining us today, we have Michelle Pringle, Blessed Stephen, and Phil J. White. Thank you all so much for joining me here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us. So excited.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So just tell us a little bit about yourselves and then also just what Black excellence means to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Pringle. I am a management major and public relations minor, and I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Big up Bridgeport. Black excellence to me means thriving against all odds. You know, today we deal with racism, discrimination, but being able to show up every day despite that is Black excellence to me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Phil J. White, and I'm a senior international studies major with minors or concentration in applied statistics and math. I'm originally from Jamaica. Big up Jamaica. And I live in Newark, New Jersey now. And for me, Black excellence just means persevering through like the odds, just like what Michelle just said, continuing to thrive regardless of the obstacles that are in your way.
Hi, everyone. My name is Blessed Stephen. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I am a senior. I am an art history, visual administration concentration, as well as art advocacy, community education with minors in Black studies and studio art. And what Black excellence means to me means empowerment, resilience, and strength. I feel like the odds are always against Black people. And I feel like as we come together, work together, and continue to push forward and strive towards common goals that we all have together, as well as like upkeeping community, I feel like we're unstoppable. We're powerful.
Awesome. Thank you all for sharing that. And as you were saying things, there were common themes amongst you all, right? Whether that was resilience, community, power, just a lot of different things that you've mentioned when you're talking about what Black excellence means to you, right? So with that being said, can you just share a bit about your personal experience navigating college as a Black student?
Right. So for me, going into Fairfield as a freshman, it was a lot. It was definitely a culture shock coming from a middle school and high school where there was a majority, I'm talking like 98, 99% Black people, to what, 98, 99% white people.
Yeah.
It's a complete switch. So in order to navigate, I just had to put myself out there. At first, obviously, freshman year, I was in my room. I probably was not even on campus. You guys probably didn't even see me. I was in Bridgeport, if I'm being honest. I wasn't really on campus like that because I thought that there wasn't anything there for me. But as I, continue to show up to classes, continue to talk to people around me, I think it was me meeting some of the AI kids definitely allowed me to delve into the community a little more because they introduced me to the Black Student Union and different associations and groups that we have on campus. So that helped me a lot.
Yeah, for me, definitely one of the things I realized is that even, I guess, intersectionality within being a Black person, because when I came here, I was an immigrant. I mean, I'm still an immigrant, but I was like fresh, like 2 years into the country, and I was undocumented at the time, and then have like a bunch of other things dealing with at the same time. Like my experience was very different because I didn't know how to navigate when one being first gen, like how do you, navigate that, and then also being an immigrant trying to assimilate to this like new culture that I literally have only been in at that point 2 years, and then having to figure out the whole undocumented part and how that plays a part in how I can like show up in different spaces. But I do feel like just being an SDMA and having just like really supportive people, like I think I feel like we would all agree that AI is pretty much where we met all of our friends. And yeah, I think that's pretty much like the ways that I did it.
And what exactly is AI and SDMA, those acronyms that you're using?
So AI is academic immersion. It's pretty much just encourage program for every like POC or underrepresented group who are freshman students, so like queer students, Black and brown students. Like as long as you're like underrepresented, you get to like come in for like a month before school starts, And you stay on campus for with like maybe like 40, 30 to 40 people basically. They're all freshmen. You do 2 classes, so you get 6 credits out of the way before you even start your freshman year. And then the whole program is essentially just like you are with those like 40 whatever kids for the whole month, and you're getting to know them. You're getting assimilated to the Fairfield culture, and just like really getting to know each other to forge community before school starts.
I would say for me, I went to a PWI high school. I went to Jesuit high school, so I feel like I was kind of accustomed to, I guess, being the minority and like kind of embracing the space that you take in and not being ashamed. So I feel like I kind of had like my foot in that door, like having that experience, even though it was really tough, like as a 14 to like 18-year-old, like that's really difficult to kind of learn how to navigate at young. But then coming here away, like across the country, away from like my family, everyone I knew, it was really hard because it's just the East Coast is so different from the Midwest. Especially like Chicago, which is a very diverse city, a city that I love so much. I feel like getting used to coming here and like how Phil J said, like having the opportunity to participate in academic immersion was really helpful for me because I'm not familiar with this area. I'm not familiar like with kind of like the culture that's happening here. So I feel like getting accustomed, meeting like different people, and just like kind of having a set, like at least 40 people that you knew before school actually started was like very beneficial for me because a lot of people came here with like 6, 7 people from like their high
Yep.
school and stuff like that. And there's only 3 of us and we're all really not that close anyway. And I'm coming from super far. So I feel like having academic immersion was really like helpful for me.
Awesome. Thank you all for that. As I'm just reflecting on just all of your responses, Michelle, I think about your experience because it's actually very similar to mine. I'm from Bridgeport as well. And I wasn't really engrossed in the Fairfield culture because of that culture shock and not really feeling like, it was home necessarily, right?
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes we can get really caught up in isolation. So
Yep.
how do you feel like you were able to break that isolation and really get involved? Because you went from being in Bridgeport, the majority of your first year to now being very involved on campus. So kind of what was that thing for you that allowed you to break that cycle of isolation?
Right. I feel like after meeting some of the AI kids like Michaelia, meeting Phil J, all the other Black kids on campus, and seeing that we all kind of had the same passion and we all really were similar. We had similar personalities as well. So we just like clicked. And we all had a passion about building up the Black Student Union. Because once we did find out that there was a Black Student Union, or at least me, because when I first came into Fairfield, I'm like, oh my God, there's no Black Student Union at my school. What am I gonna do? Like, I'm gonna just be in Bridgeport. But once I did find out that there was one, we all kind of had the same idea of like wanting to build it up and for it to be something. So just forcing myself to be involved in these organizations like Remix, the Black Student Union, and making myself an executive member, so that it was kind of like forcing me to participate, to be on campus. That helped me a lot because I realized that I'm not the only one. I'm not alone. So that allowed me to like, believe it or not, open up to white people.
Real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm actually going to get back to something that Phil J mentioned about intersectionality, but since we brought up the Black Student Union, let's just take a moment to kind of just sit there really quick, right? Because we know that you all are very heavily involved with the Black Student Union, right? We're sitting here with the president of the Black Student Union, right? Former vice president, got the merch on right now, right? Repping everywhere that you go, right?
Yeah.
And then Michelle, you already introduced the Black Student Union and talking about that community that was created for you, right? So can you all just share a little bit more? I know, Michelle, you already kind of started, but just sharing your experience as being a part of the Black Student Union and really how that has shaped your experience here at Fairfield.
Yeah, I think the Black Student Union came at a very pivotal point in my life, honestly, because I don't think I was that involved my freshman year. And then it was second semester, sophomore year that I started getting more involved when I went on the retreat. Um, Shout out Jay Glover and Dennis, and campus ministry for that. But I feel like that's when I started getting more involved because I really had a lot of fun on the retreat. And I think at that point I realized that like I always had this mentality of when I came in here that I'm not here to teach white people about Black people and history and stuff like that. But I'm realizing that it doesn't really matter because if you're a person of color, you're always gonna have to teach people who are different from you different things, just like vice versa as well. So when I joined the Black Student Union, like I had already known like everybody who was like in the union, basically. So if anything, it made me more comfortable. And I feel like because we're all friends, we got to like really get closer because we really did have to like stick it out for that whole year that we were like, I mean, we're still basically in it, but like we really had to like figure out, okay, how are we gonna do this? And I feel like we did a really, really good job last year, like bringing new life and new energy into the Black Student Union and making people excited. And I think we did a really good job with that.
And I 100% agree. Just being able to see the evolution of the Black Student Union, and just the passion behind the passion behind everything and your drive, right? Just over the time that you've been here, even right from your first year to now your senior year, the Black Student Union wouldn't be what it is without the Black Student Union members, right? Without the Black Student Union e-board, right? So that's important as well. So that makes me think, actually, and I'm gonna actually shoot this question over to the president, as we're thinking through folks that may want to get involved, right? Black students particularly that may just want to get involved in organizations, whether that is a Black Student Union or something else, right? But they might be hesitant to doing so, right? Because if Michelle was hesitant, then maybe she could have still been in maybe that season of isolation, right? So how would you acknowledge or address, students that might be hesitant to join different organizations or the Black Student Union, but find themselves in kind of that space of isolation?
I would say to take a chance on yourself. Kind of try and push your limits. I feel like it's easy to stay comfortable when you're not sure about the outcome, but you don't know the outcome unless you try it, if that makes sense. So, for example, when it came to choosing what like college I was gonna come, I was very unsure. Like I got in meetings with everybody. I got in a meeting with Yolema before I chose. I still remember like I was meeting with everybody, and I decided to take a chance. And then like now look at me now. So it's kind of like I feel like keep an open mind, especially if you have like past different experience with like different people, organizations. Like I feel like not every organization or person is going to be like that, especially like in an environment and space like Fairfield University. It's very everyone is different. Everyone comes from like different walks of life, and this is everyone's first time living, if that makes sense. So I feel like keep an open mind with whatever you're able to bring and what other people are able to provide and bring for you. Like you never know who you kind of like make your own found community within. It could be a random person you had class with freshman year, all of a sudden you're best friends with them in junior year. So I would say take a chance and try to like kind of go out there. Like if you see a club that you're like, oh, skiing club, maybe I should do that. Like maybe go to at least one meeting, kind of hear them out, feel them out, see what they're about. Do your research if you're not sure. Like maybe not stalk, but like look them up on Instagram. Maybe they have an Instagram just to kind of like fill it out and see if that's really the space that you want to be in. And if it is, take the next steps to kind of put yourself out there, go to meetings, go to the activities fair and see what they have to offer.
I'm actually gonna kind of piggyback off something you said, Blessed, too, because everybody here around this table knows you and have seen your evolution from when you first came here, right? And again, as you spoke, when we hopped on that Zoom, right, and you were just like, I'm not really sure.
I was like,
I was like, well, listen, and we kind of, weighed the options. And you were just like, when I get here, I'm in your office all the time. And you stuck to that word, right?
I was just there
always in the student diversity office, right? And really being in a space that you can call home. But something that you mentioned is you said, well, look at me now, right? What does that mean? And when you say "look at me now," like I know that it signifies growth in some aspect, right? But how would you kind of articulate that?
Be the change that you want to see. So I came in. I was ready to transfer. I was ready to go. Like I was like, this is not the place for me. It's too far. It's hard to make friends. Nobody wants to talk to me. But then as I continue to put myself out there, as I said before, I became an active member in BSU, and that's how I met Michelle. And Michelle was also my RA, so I was like, girl, you're going to see me everywhere too. Like, you're not escaping me.
Don't forget Remix.
Hello. And we had Remix. We was dancing every 3 times a week. And then that's how I kind of met Phil J. And then it's kind of like, I saw a lot of like things that, not that I didn't agree, but like could be changed at Fairfield or like kind of needed that little push to like continue to develop. And it's like, kind of don't wait for someone to do it. If you already see the issue with it, like change it, do something about it, meet with people, talk to people. Like that's when I started like meeting with different people and be like, oh, like what if we did this instead of this? Or like I'm the inaugural year of Company Scholars. So I was like, this program kind of needs a little bit more structure to it. Like, let's do this. Let's have this as like a tradition. Let's do this. And now they have like so many like built-in like events and different things that's happening. And I feel like I don't want to sit there and be miserable, be like, yeah, I hate it here. I don't want to be here. Like, at least I know I tried to do something.
Yep.
If it didn't work out, okay, then maybe I could be a little sad. But like, you have to still try. You can't
Right.
just kind of wallow in it. Wallowing is not going to get you anywhere.
Well said. And which is one of the reasons why you are a 2025 Vision Award winner, right? So thank you for upholding the
Thank
ideals
you.
of Martin Luther King Jr.
Thank you.
None of your actions or acts have gone unnoticed, and we
Mhm.
definitely appreciate all your contributions. Something that you all have kind of just talked about as we're navigating these things are be the change that you want to see, right? You're talking about change, right? And when I think about change, I often say people, you don't know what you don't know,
Right.
right? So sometimes people like don't know some of the challenges or hurdles
Mhm.
that Black students might be experiencing, right? And sometimes there's this unrealistic expectation for there to be change if folks don't even know what that is, right? So with that being said, what are some challenges that you believe Black students face that people might not realize?
Oh, I already have the perfect answer for this one.
I wanted to
Um,
say,
I think that this is from like an academic perspective. I feel like a lot of the Black students or just POC on this campus in general have jobs. And one of the biggest things that was really hard for me specifically last semester when I was applying to grad school, having a full course load and having to manage 2 jobs, is that you're expected, it's like you're expected to perform at the same level as like the white counterparts who don't have jobs. So it's like, you get what I'm trying to say? Like in terms of just like, I don't have a lot of time at my disposal to like
Mhm.
do like homework. I mean, I did it, but like I didn't have the time like really give into like studying and this because I had to go to work. I had to make money. I had to like figure out ways to sustain myself. And one of the hardest things was for me to be in classes and there felt like it was like not really like a lot of accommodation for me because I'm living this completely different life than most of the people in my classes. And I still feel like the professors and just the way that I perceived it felt like I was still supposed to be stepping up to the plate and like showing up the same way my other classmates show up, even though I have a lot more on on my shoulders. So I think just accommodation, understanding that like a lot of the POC on campus have like other things that they have to do because they need money. So figuring out how we can like make that setting in like an academic perspective.
this might be just me, but I feel like as people of color or a Black person, as a Black woman, I always feel like an outcast here. Like it's been 4 years and I still walk into a classroom and feel like an outcast. Or like I still walk into Duncan and I'm like, dang, like I always notice that I'm the only person of color in the room. And that's definitely a challenge because I'm always in my head, or I've learned to obviously like do better with that. Like obviously I'm more comfortable around it, but in the beginning, it was very, very uncomfortable. It was hard for me to be myself and put myself out there. Um, and I feel like it's hard to go far or like accomplish the things that you want to accomplish when you are uncomfortable. So that's definitely a challenge in terms of like wanting to reach your goals.
I would say going off of Michelle, like, I agree with that part because, like, for example, in class, like, the teacher would be like, okay, guys, partner up. 2 people next to me, they turn the other way. And I'm
Literally.
sitting there like,
Yeah.
and I just put my head down and I just do the work by myself because at the end of the day, like, people will choose any other option before they get to you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if that makes sense. And then on top of that, like, I feel like the whole, I don't even know the word, like, the whole discourse around, like, students of color on scholarship, I don't want to hear any of that. Like,
Yeah.
I feel people kind of treat them as like handouts, like, oh,
Yep.
like you only got in because you're no, like
Like
I
we didn't work
studied,
for it.
I wrote all
Yeah.
them essays, I was in all those workshops, I was in them interviews.
Resume stock.
Mhm.
Like I was
Right.
doing everything. Like I was working at 15. Like I was putting in the work. I don't want people kind of assuming like, oh, because I'm a Black woman, like that's an automatic in. No.
Right.
Like I had to work twice as hard for as so many other people to get in. Like I'm not a Nepo baby. I'm first gen. My mom traveled here when she was 20 to make a better life for her family back in Belize. Like it's not like this was all given to me. I had to work for all of this. And I think people forget that.
I
100%.
actually want to like piggyback off what both of you said because Like, I think especially for you because you're in Dolan, like, I
Mhm.
had most of my classes in Dolan last semester, like 3 out of 5 of my classes, and I felt so uncomfortable in this one
Mhm.
specific class. I'm not gonna say any names. It wasn't anything about the teacher, it was just the class itself because I was the only Black person in the class. And I remember so many moments where, like, I was sitting in class and I was, like, sitting like this, and then because I felt so uncomfortable, like my shoulders hunched down, and then I literally had to say in my head, you need to get up. Like you need to
Mhm.
sit up like this because you're supposed to be here." But
Mhm.
it's like you don't even realize that you're doing it, but your body, it's so funny how your body will
Right.
react to things before you even realize it.
Mhm.
And so like literally every single class I had to be like, "You need to sit up because you deserve to be here."
Yeah. I feel like another challenge too is you never know when someone here is trying you, like, and then it's hard to navigate how to deal with that. For example, I was in class my sophomore year. I'm not gonna say what class or what teacher, but um I was telling him that, hey, I'm gonna be going to Jamaica. These are the days I'm gonna be away. And he was like, okay, that's fine, da da da. As the class went on, in the middle of the class, he mentioned like going out, and then he targeted me. He was like, oh, what part of Jamaica are you gonna be going to? And backstory, I just went to Dunkin' before that. So I was eating my little donut, whatever, when he said that. So obviously I'm trying to like chew and swallow. And he's like, you don't even know. You don't even know where you're going.
Oh.
Oh, oh. I said,
Sir.
it's just situations like that where you don't know. Like, and obviously I had to just laugh it off, but that
Yeah.
really affected me because it's like
Right.
I'm the only Black person, and now you have everybody's eyes on me, and now you're making it seem like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Like,
You know, so situations like that is just definitely a challenge.
mhm.
Absolutely. And thank you all for sharing that. And as we're talking through, different challenges that you all may have experienced or that you all have experienced as Black students on campus, we know that life is not only full of challenges, right? There's not only challenges or there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? So when we think about some of the challenges that we experienced, let's also think about some of the successes, right? And what are some highlights that you feel like you've experienced while being here, some of the successes, and if there's any, whether that's department or people that you feel have, really supported you along that journey and really, helped you thrive here.
I feel like for me, I feel like I always say this too, but for me, it's just watching the transformation of the Black Student Union because my freshman year, it was like, it didn't really feel like a Black Student Union. It kind of just felt like they had to be, like they were forcing themselves to be there. Like it didn't feel like they cared about what was going on or cared about us really. They were just like, oh, you're Black, so you need to be on the Black Student Union. It was kind of like, it wasn't a community, you know? So my sophomore year, all of us, I think the whole e-board was like sophomores, maybe one or two people weren't, but we all came together and we literally like talked about a plan and our goals and
Yeah.
what we wanted for BSU and kind of being on the same mindset
Right.
and wanting to build community all together. It's just, and seeing where we are now, so everything that Michaelia did, everything that Blessed did, everything that we all did, because we all took part of
Yep.
it.
Mhm.
Just warms my heart.
Oh.
Warms my heart. Makes me shed a tear.
I'm gonna say two different things. The first, I'm gonna speak about like academically, and then I'm gonna talk about socially. So academically, like I always give my props to the math department here. Like the best professors I have had at the school have literally been like math professors. So like, I'm gonna give two shout outs, Dr. Casement and oh my god, I just had her for calculus that I got. Dr. Trolley, right? Both of them, like just as you know, I just finished applying to grad school and then like having to try to figure out like what I really wanted to do for my career. Like they helped me a lot in that process. So like I really appreciate them. Socially, I definitely want to shout out the Center for Social Impact because that was basically my first job when I at Fairfield. And I feel like that's the first time I felt like it within like a department, like a real community where everybody was just like, yeah, we're here for you. It didn't feel like work. And literally sometimes I like, even days I wasn't working, I'd just be there like, hey, what's up? Like, what's going on? All right, I'm gonna see you after I get back from class. And then also like SDMA, I feel like, we're all there. Like we're always there. And I feel like I met a lot of my friends there. And I just feel like in the Black Student Union, like we've all been friends, but I feel like we got so much closer. Like we literally like hang out all the time. We live together, like just stuff like that. And like we traveled. We went to Chicago. We literally flew to Chicago. Like some of us flew to Chicago just to like hang out and do stuff. So I feel like, yeah, all of that.
So I'm gonna ask, what's SDMA?
Student Diversity and Multicultural Affairs Office.
Okay.
Right.
For me, I would say Dr. and Dean Kanisha Johnson. I would say I got my first job working on campus, working with racial justice for social justice here on campus, literally September of my freshman year. That was like
Listen,
my
you're
first
on.
job. And I was like, I need a job when I get here. Like, I can't be dilly-dallying. I need to do something with my time. So I would say her, and like she kind of became my mentor. Like, I'm able to go up to her office and talk to her. I would say Karen Donahue, same for her. I would always like sit down and chat with her. I would say Dr. Rochelle Byrne Bevel and Dr. Maurice Rose. Those are my two advisors and also my mentors as well on campus. I would say Lori Jones, the Quick Center. I feel like the Quick Center really pushed me to figure out what I wanted to do, just like how Phil J said about the Center for Social Impact. The Quick Center really pushed me to, I guess, figure out what I wanted to do. Like, I'm an artist and I'm from Chicago, but I'm also like very passionate about social justice. So I didn't know how to bring all those together.
Yep.
But at the Quick Center, I'm literally the arts and social change fellow. So it's
Right.
kind of like everything that I want to do put together. And I'm able to like provide just like art programming for like the local public schools, and just doing stuff like that really made me realize like this is what I really want to do. So having opportunities like that to kind of, I guess, guide me throughout what I wanted to do after post undergrad is like really important.
Yep.
Awesome. And a lot of you all went directly to like people and departments, which is great because it also just showed the impact that that it had on you, right? So as we're thinking about our success, or we're thinking about thriving, when you think about, again, a successful moment, right, here at Fairfield, how would you describe that? Like, what would you have considered a successful moment here at Fairfield?
I feel like a successful moment was the Black Stags Matter walk. I feel like that really, it was a movement. It was a movement. And even after the fact, there were people who made their little disrespectful comments about it and wasn't really supporting us. And even through that, we thrived. We still did what we needed to do, and we did better. So that was a successful moment. Not letting anybody. That's Black excellence. That's what Black excellence is.
I guess it would be the recipient of the 2025 Martin Luther King Jr. Vision Award. I feel like I'm very proud.
You should be.
What else? I would say making my own major here on campus. Like, I just like being different. I don't know. Like, I was like, when I found out you were able to like kind of combine different classes and different aspects of different majors in the College of Arts and Sciences, I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing that. For sure I'm doing that. For sure you're right on. I'm gonna do that. So I made my own major, which I feel like, even though it took me a whole year to do, I feel like that was something that I was very proud of because no one else has this major but me. At least on this campus. I'm the only one with that major. So I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud to graduate early. I'm supposed to be a junior right now. I'm a senior. I'm graduating a whole year early, which I feel like when people found out, they were like, I kind of played it off. I was like, yeah, I'm graduating early. Whoop-de-doo. They were like, no, that's kind of like huge. Like, because I didn't come in with any AP credits. Like, I just thugged it out. I came in at zero. I did AI, got my 6 credits, and then from there, I just kept pushing it. And then I just kind of realized, like, oh, I'm almost done. So I was like, that's all really.
Definitely a successful moment, Blessed, because you're saying this like you had it all figured out, right? You were on the couch in my office and you were just like, I don't know if I'm gonna graduate early or not. And I'm like, well, it's the beginning of your junior, maybe senior year, so we should probably figure it out. And then now here you are in the countdown of 96 days. So a very successful moment.
Because mind you, I came in undecided. So I don't even know how I got here to this point.
Yeah. That Black excellence. That's how you got here.
I think for me, I'll just say like just it's not one moment, but I just feel like I'm just going to say junior year because I feel like junior year was like my most successful year. Like I feel like I figured out a lot of things about myself and about my career. And I feel like junior year, I felt more settled in just myself because at this point I had already been working with the Center for Social Impact. I was the VP of the Black Student Union, and I feel like at this point, with all the work, all the research that I had been doing with the Center for Social Impact and all the work, the community work that I've been doing just in general and all the things that I do here, I feel like everything in my junior year, everything kind of came together, especially my love of math and statistics. Everything kind of came together and just like kind of like showed me, oh, like, this is what I want to do specifically. Because sophomore year, I was undecided because I was engineering first. And I switched like 5 times. But like I I was finally able to put everything that I love together and realize like, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm gonna mix community engagement with statistical research and like work in an international perspective. And all of that came just like me just chilling and just like doing all the work I wanted to do, and then everything kind of just being like, oh, okay, all right. And then now I'm like senior going to grad school and like, all right, now I get it.
Right. I love that. And that kind of makes me think for me, kind of the same thing. I feel like I was able to learn or really get my time management down pat. I feel like my
Yeah.
sophomore year, I was doing a lot. Like I was historian of the Black Student Union. I was captain of the dance team here, Remix. I was also dealing with classes. I was dealing with home personal things, and I was also working.
Yeah.
So I was just doing a lot, really running myself dry.
Me last semester.
And I was still able to get A's all through that, make Dean's
Yup.
List. So I feel like that's really Black excellence
is.
right there.
Yes.
And it taught me how to be successful in my future careers and my future endeavors, and also choose myself.
Yup.
I know that's right.
That's the biggest
Put
one.
yourself first.
Mhm.
I know. Always have to reach out to Michelle, like, "Hey, I haven't seen you. How you doing?
Y'all know when I
Are you
disappear, y'all know
well?"
what that means. Y'all know what that
Right.
means.
But it's great to see that again. You're always pushing forward, you know. And as you mentioned, like that tenacity, that resilience, right? That truly is Black excellence. Because
Yep.
when you have every reason to give up, right? Literally, I know all of you all personally. I know all of your journeys personally, right? And you all had every reason to give up. If you gave up, somebody be like, I get it, right? Someone might say, I get it, right? But to really say, as Blessed said in the beginning, like, look at you now, right? Thinking about your first year, thinking about how hard you had to push through to get here, right? To
Yeah.
be here, not even just here right now as we're on this podcast, but really to be who you are and where you are today, right? Because it's not just about the fact that you're graduating. When you think about your personal and your professional development, right?
Mhm.
When you think about having to navigate really, tough waters, right? Personal experiences,
Yep.
professional experiences, academic challenges that you may have had, right? But to still see the bigger picture as well, right? Because not only did you have to navigate what you've shared, but you all have contributed immensely to the institution. Right. And that is very much appreciated. I'm proud of each and every one of you. You are Black excellence, and you never ever forget that.
Thank you.
You were a big help too.
Right, because
I don't know.
right, I don't know.
If I didn't have you grab me like, come to my office, we need to talk right now. Then I don't know what I would have been doing.
Really proud of y'all. Really, really proud of you. This is definitely a full circle moment for me. Yeah, it's definitely a full circle moment, right? It's funny that I have couches in my office, right? Because, when y'all in the office,
And you're sitting, that's how you know.
And sometimes we don't even have to say anything. Sometimes you just need a moment to collect yourself, right? Sometimes you're just like, sometimes you would actually come in my office and not say anything. And I'm just, I'm doing my work. I'm like, I'm here if you need me, right? And sometimes that's all it really takes, right? So as we're thinking about community, not just myself, you all spoke about different folks who have influenced you and impacted you, and just people that you know that you can go to, right? Should you need something, anything, because no matter what, the going's gonna get tough. That's part of life too, right? And then it just sounds like from what you all shared, there's just like an extra layer as you're navigating as a Black student and the Black student experience. With that being said, what is one thing that the institution can do to enhance the Black student experience? As you're just thinking about like your journey, you're thinking about, you talked about a lot throughout, today, right? And if you're leaving, you're seniors, right? You've had your time here. You talked about your contributions. You talked about your challenges. And then as we're thinking about it from an institutional standpoint, right? And we're thinking about the Black experience, both positive, both negative. What can the institution do as you're thinking about, you all have always been folks who pay it forward, right? So I think about that from an institutional standpoint of paying it forward for the students who are to come after us. Like, what's something that the institution can do or consider even as it pertains to the Black student experience? So I'll give you a moment to kind of think through that.
I think that we obviously have very limited like therapists on campus. And I feel like a lot of the people that we go to, like you and like just other people, like their jobs are not to be therapists or to be like stuff like that. But that's kind of where we go. And they have like, obviously like your job as the director, like you have a lot of things going on. So like it makes more sense why you can't like always make time for us whenever we need it.
I will always make time for you.
You always make time for it, but I'm just saying, like, it makes sense as to why you wouldn't be that available. So I think one of the things that we need on campus is just like, I don't know if it's like to have more therapists of color in
Mhm.
like counseling and psychological services, or just like have like a different type of program specifically for POC on campus where like we can come in and because I know there's like a limit, like you can only go like a few times per semester,
Mhm.
and we need more than that. Like we really do, because the every 2 weeks is really not gonna cut it sometimes. Like
Mhm.
sometimes we need it once a week, I like something like that. So I feel like there should be some kind of like institutionalized like program or something where students of color or just like students of underrepresented populations on Fairfield's campus specifically can be able to like go and talk to like a therapist or a psychologist whenever we want, because stuff goes on.
I would say it's not us versus you, it's like all of us versus the problem. I feel like in today's society, there's so much institutionalized things that's been set up that still need to be broken down. And I feel like start listening to your students. Like you guys send out all these surveys and these that this that and third, and like tell us to come talk and da da da. But like
Yeah.
sometimes nothing really changed. Like
Yeah.
there's still some things that's still the same when I was a freshman. You know, it was 3 years ago. 3 years is a lot. That's a lot of time to change a few things. And I feel like intentionality needs to be upheld at this school. I feel like even though we do talk about like intention versus impact, I feel like being intentional with what you guys do for students of color on campus is very important. Being intentional with what kind of students you're looking to accept at the school is also very important, because there's no
Mhm.
reason that there's certain students making other students of color, or just other students in general, feel uncomfortable, this, that, and third, and nothing being done. There's no repercussions. There's no um, like like justice circles. You know what I mean? Like there's no proper steps in going to ensure that, okay, you can't kick the student out of school, or like you can't, do anything about the student. What can you do to make sure that they learn from this experience? They learn how they hurt somebody. They learn that they did this, that, and third, and it's wrong. Like I feel like there's so many different issues that need to be addressed, and I feel like it's just being swept under the rug because there's bigger issues. But like these small issues are what turn into bigger issues. So what are you guys gonna do about it? There's so much stuff that needs to change on campus. Like, for example, like a small thing is there used to be like a airport shuttle back in the day before COVID, and then they never brought it back. And in my head, I'm like, y'all going out your way to recruit all these students from California, Chicago. There's people from Ohio.
Tanzania,
Like y'all going out your way to recruit all
Micronesia.
these people. How how are they supposed to get to the airport? You want them to hop on the Metro North all the way to Grand Central and then take a few subways all the way into LaGuardia or JFK? Like how you're not being accessibility is not being thought. There's no intention in that. Y'all outreaching all these people, all these different people and communities. You're not thinking, oh, how are they gonna go back home? So
But
what I
yeah.
did was I got the airport shuttles back, because I'm like, these kids don't know how to get back home. Like, and a Uber from here to the airport is like $100+. They're over here carpooling this 5 to 7 students in a car trying to make it to their flight or whatever. It's just so like inconvenient for y'all to go out your way to try to get different students and not accommodate for them, not be intentional with what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Can I just add on to like what you just said
Mhm.
about with especially now with the introduction of the Bellarmine campus, I think there needs to be a lot more intentionality about like how we're going to like merge
Yeah.
the campuses, just more integration of both campuses. Because
Mhm.
like for instance, I would love to take a class at Bellarmine. Like there's I don't even remember the name of the class, but there's like one class that I
Mhm.
saw like for this semester. I was like, yeah, I would really love to take this, but how am I gonna get there? Like stuff like that. And like
Mhm.
I feel like especially the Bellarmine students feel so excluded all of the times because they don't feel like they're Fairfield students, even though like they have the gear, they have
Right.
the
They have
stat
the
cards,
stat
whatever.
card. Right.
Like they I feel like there should be, if you're gonna be intentional about starting a program for these kids to like go like get into Fairfield traditional, like after they're done with their program, or like to go elsewhere, you need to be more you need to understand better ways to like further integrate them so that when they come here they don't feel like they're new, that they've already been Fairfield students.
Right.
And it's, I'm just going to school, it's just a different campus right now.
Right.
Right. To kind of go off of that, I agree with what Blessed said about um making a space where students of color feel comfortable around the like I'm gonna just say white people
Right.
on this campus. You know what I'm saying? Around white people on this campus, and that's probably not something that institutions can't like fix in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. It really just depends on the people
Right.
that they're choosing. But maybe coming up with a program that will help towards that cause. I feel like I said, I mentioned earlier that people of color are usually like uncomfortable, like the Bellarmine kids. Where there was that whole situation on
Right.
Fizz where they didn't really, the white people didn't really make them feel, or not all white people, obviously, not all the white people on
The
at
anonymous
Fairfield.
people
The
on Fizz.
anonymous white people
Right.
who were kind of coming for Bellarmine kids, saying like, why are they here? You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that makes not just Bellarmine kids feel uncomfortable, but all of us feel uncomfortable.
Because those are our friends.
Right.
Like,
And to touch on that, we don't know who is saying that. We could be sitting in class next to the person who doesn't want us here. You know
That
what I'm
could be
saying?
your friend.
Right, exactly. So maybe
Yeah.
developing a program where to get people more informed, even though that might not work, is a start.
I mean, you could probably start with like first year experience.
yeah,
like,
like
FYE.
have like
Yeah.
like, because we know we have like lessons every single week. Like have a lesson, be like, this is, maybe even take them.
Yeah.
I don't know how often y'all have like maybe like every Wednesday FYE on this specific week. Like we're gonna go to the Bellarmine campus and we're gonna have a little tour or whatever. Because I
Right.
know I led Ignite, which is like, it's kind of like AI, but it's just 3 days and we do service. We have like community bonding. We have like talks and stuff like that. And it's through campus ministry and it's kind of like an immersion program. It's like 50 students and it's kind of like a retreat on campus basically. And we led it, and one of the aspects was we took a tour of Bridgeport because we're stopping the notion that Bridgeport's ghetto and this, that, and the
Right.
third. We took a tour of Bridgeport. They gave us like all the rich history of Bridgeport because I bet y'all don't know that. Bridgeport's rich in history. They took us to Bellarmine. We had a tour of Bellarmine. We walked around. We saw all the offices because we want to stop the notion that all the negative things that people like will talk about Bridgeport and Bellarmine, like we're trying to stop it before they even start school because it's like,
Yeah.
if 50 students know the true history and this, that, and the third, that's 50 more than last year. You know what I mean? They're able to correct their friends on like, kind of like ignorant behavior that they're already having. Be like, no, that's not the truth about it.
Right.
So I feel, and thank you all for your responses, right? And I think as I'm hearing you all speak, there was kind of a mix between the institution and the student body,
Yeah.
right? Because it sounded like we were kind of going back and forth. Because when you're talking about Fizz, you're talking about other students, you're talking about this community or lack thereof, right? So, and then you started talking about programs. And it's funny because when you talk about programs, I'm like, a lot of students say, like, we want a program about this, we want a program about that. But then when we implement programs, students don't show up.
Right.
Right. So then that becomes a challenge too. Right.
Yeah.
So I think about it's an accountability on both ends. Right. There's an accountability from the institutional side. Right. To say that as an institution, this is what we're doing, making sure that we're hearing you. Right. And Blessed, I think you might have said it earlier, but not just hearing you. Right. But actually looking to implement the things that you're saying. Right. I'm wanting to actually feel heard.
Yeah.
But then on the other end, it's an accountability aspect. It's an accountability piece of it from the student body, right?
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to have an answer for this, but it just makes me think about, like, as the student body, right? How can we create a more inclusive campus? Because we have to come together. It has to be the institution and the student body collectively coming together to build that inclusive campus.
Yeah, and I know we're running out of time, but I just want to say something real quick. Like, I think just getting more comfortable with Bridgeport in general is for the white students needs to be a thing, because I feel like a lot of the people who come here, like their parents are literally telling them, like, don't go to Bridgeport because it's dangerous, it's this, that, whatever. And I have one of my best friends is a white man, and we literally like work for the Center for Social Impact, and we spent so much time, like 2 summers ago in Bridgeport, that now he be going to Bridgeport without me. Like, I'm checking his location, I'm like, why are you in Bridgeport? And then like it's so funny too, because like he's from Long Island, and like he, like when we were coming back to school, I think it was like junior year or something, and I checked his location randomly and was like, why are you in Bridgeport? And he says, oh, I'm taking my dad to the restaurant that we found in Bridgeport like a few months ago. Just stuff like that.
You know, Phil J, thank you for sharing that experience, because one of the things in our office, right, that we aim to do is engage in those cross-cultural experiences, right? Because a lot of times if we don't engage in those experiences, we don't know them. We can tend to live in fear or you know, think about things that we've never experienced before, right? Whether that is because you've heard this, whether society said it, your parents or whatever the case may be, and then you actually experience it and you're just like, wow, this is not what I thought it was going to be. So really just encouraging the student body, right, to continue to engage in those cross-cultural experiences. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, because that's something that's really important, that it's my hope actually for the
Mhm.
student body to really embrace and engage in those experiences.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like, to answer your question from before, what can we do? When you have, or when there are those programs that we come up with to better Fairfield, probably assigning certain students to be kind of like the leaders or the executive board of that program. Because if
Mhm.
you're just making the program and then sending out emails,
Yep.
people
who's
are
gonna do
9
it?
times out of 10 they're not going to do it. But if you have people who are really serious about it, who are able to spread the word, who are
Right.
able to control the social media for it, and I feel like word of mouth is the best form of getting people to show up.
Yep.
And I know that because I was historian for 2 years.
She was going to people, oh, are you coming to this?
Literally,
Like-
every conversation, are you coming to this event? Yeah, we have
Right.
this. Yeah, follow the Instagram actions. I feel like that would help.
Mhm.
All right. Well, when you're gonna email when we leave out of here, and I'm asking you to champion a program, don't be
That was my
upset.
line on my
It's like
resume.
96 days
Just
student.
let
Oh
me
no,
know.
listen, that's all right. That's all I need.
Class 2026, this for you.
Right.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you all. The last thing that I just want to end on, because when we're thinking about Black excellence, we started with Black excellence and we're ending with Black excellence. Can you just share just one thing that you are proud of?
I'm proud of choosing myself through
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
Honestly, I feel like there was a point where I really used to accept a lot. I was a people pleaser, and I used to do everything for everyone else.
Mm.
And it led to me getting burnt out every 2 days.
Mhm.
So just choosing myself, being able to balance my time management, and knowing when to do nothing and knowing when to do everything. I feel like that's something that I'm really proud of myself for.
I already know. Believing in myself. That's my one. Right. because like when like freshman year, it's 4 examples I got. I'm gonna run through it real quick. Like freshman year, started off as engineering, left after 2 semesters. I was like, I don't want to do this, but I don't even know what I'm gonna do. And then like I had to trust that I would figure it out, and I did. The second example was, I remember one time the first time I signed up to ever do like 6 classes. Everybody was like, don't do that, don't do 6 classes. Got straight A's. Matter of fact, that's the only time in college I've gotten straight A's.
Clocky.
6 classes, right?
Mhm.
The third one was like when I was it was last summer when I was applying. Well, last semester, 2 semesters ago, I was applying for internships, and I was so worried about it. Like I applied to like 200 jobs. Like it was crazy because I was like, I want to live in a new city for the summer, and I want to I love the Center for Social Impact, but it's time for me to pivot and do something else.
Mhm.
I applied for my job that's not my current job, and I was one of like 7 or 6 people to get my role, and I was one of the only people from undergrad to get my job, and it was so competitive, and it was probably the most competitive like job that I applied for, and I got it off of my own
That's
merit,
right.
my own like I had no networking, and matter of fact, people were telling me that like I might not even get it because like I don't have like anybody who can help me get in, and I did that by myself. And then most recently, I had to believe that like applying to graduate school that I could get into some of these schools, and homeboy just got into Columbia.
I know
So
that's right.
like,
That's right.
right. So I had to really just like believe it that I could do it, because there were so many people telling me like, you never know, like this and that. Whoever is like at the top, you just never know what's gonna happen. I'm like, well, I look at my resume, it's stacked. I look at all the things that I got. I know what I want to do. The vision is clear, and I'm doing every single thing that I can do to get to this point. And I did it.
That's right.
Right.
For me, I'm proud to be me because it's like, I don't know. I feel like when you're in certain areas where you are the minority, or like you don't really see that many people who look like you, like you kind of try to dim your light. Like you try to hide in the shadows and not be seen. Like you just try to like
Yeah.
sail through. And it's like, no, I'm black. I am a woman. I am loud. I laugh loud. Like I stand my ground. I stand on business.
Yeah.
I
Big
get
business.
things done. Like I'm proud to be me. I'm not gonna try to dim my light so other people could be comfortable within themselves. No,
Right.
that's none of my business. I'm proud to be first gen.
Yep.
I'm proud to what am I proud of?
Graduate a year early.
Graduate a year
Right.
early. I'm proud to be the president of the Black Student Union.
I'm correct.
Period.
You made the soup.
I'm proud to be an artist. I'm proud
Right.
to be a commissioned artist. People pay me to make them art now.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just a lot of things to be proud. Like, I'm proud of everything that makes me me. Like, there's nothing that I'm ashamed of. Every part of my story led me to where I am and who I am now. So it's like I can't really hate the past parts of me because that's who makes me who I am now.
Right. Right.
Tear. I am so
Wow.
proud of y'all. I am just so incredibly proud of each and every one of you. I knew that the audience was in for a treat, but I did not realize that I too was in for a treat.
No.
So seriously, thank you. Michelle, Phil J, Blessed, thank you so much for joining me here today. And to all our viewers, thank you for tuning in. Let today's podcast remind us that Black history is American history and it is still being written. I'm Yulema Felican, and this is the Diversity in Action podcast.